This could very well be the best release from the S.H.Figuarts Berserk line. We're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 figures deep into the line, and these actually get better with each one. Not to say the first couple were bad, but they did have their issues, especially with the choices made in the engineering department. Still, whether you've been collecting the line since the beginning or you're looking to start a 1/12 scale Berserk figure collection, these figures really do improve over time, and the Band of the Hawk Guts is probably the best figure to date. So here it is, the S.H.Figuarts Berserk, the Band of the Hawk Guts. Let's do it. Alright, first, let's take a look at how a younger, slightly less traumatized Guts stacks up against his Black Swordsman self and the Immortal Zod. Height-wise, they're pretty much the same. He is a tad taller, and aesthetically, this Band of the Hawk Guts looks just as good as every other figure from the Berserk line. But the huge difference this time is the small engineering choices the design team have made to improve the overall functionality and durability of the figure, and just how much more enjoyable it is to handle and pose as a result. We'll talk about the engineering a little bit later into the video, but first, let's take a look at that beautiful sculpt work. Again, I mentioned this in all of my Berserk line reviews, but the design guys from Tamashii who work on these figures work super close with Miura's own production studio, Studio Gaga, so everything is sculpted and approved according to the studio's standards. And you can clearly see that with the figure's aesthetics. You can feel that a lot of love goes into the sculpt work. The armor looks great, there's a nice weathered feel to it. We're not just getting a straight up shiny silver, it's more of a textured, unpolished sheen, so you have your dents, your uneven surfaces. There's an almost black, dark brown wash that brings out the details in those corners and in all the rivets on the shoulder plates and forearm plate. It's some armor that's seen a battle or two, and it contrasts really well with all the leather straps and the matte finish of his pants. You get some paintwork with shading on his exposed arms and a bit of shading around the knees of the pants as well. I'd say aesthetically it's almost perfect, but when we get down to the lower half of the body, we are missing a few silver paint apps here and there on the buckles of his boots and around his thighs, which is a bit of a shame since the top half looks so good. I think I would have liked to see just a bit more color variation on the groin guard. I'm not too sure what that's called, maybe a medieval cup or jockstrap, but a different shade of brown for the laces would have been a nice touch. The cape this time around is more of your traditional soft goods fabric, with bendy wire running around the sides, bottom and middle of the cape to give you some posing options. It's held together at the neck with that golden Band of Hawk emblem and doesn't attach to anything on Guts' armor. So it kind of just sits there and is held in place by the head, which works, but the trade-off is that you do lose a bit of head articulation. If you didn't like the cape that came with the Black Swordsman and the Berserk Armor Guts, then you probably like this cape. Again, it's more of your traditional fabric that you'd see used for this scale of action figure, and the seams and stitch holes aren't really that noticeable. Guts looks absolutely dashing with his cape, but honestly, I much prefer the figure without. It's just one thing less to worry about when you're posing. The head sculpts look fantastic as well. I think it really captures a more youthful, bright-eyed version of Guts. I know there isn't too much of a time difference between this version of Guts and how he appears in the Black Swordsman arc. He's still in his 20s, but the traumatic experiences Guts endures after the Golden Age, coupled with using an armor that literally drains you of your life force, probably doesn't do wonders for your complexion. We get two options for Guts: your normal spiky head, giant sword wielding hero head sculpt with 3 faceplates, and a battle helmet variation with movable face protector and 2 faceplates. So I guess you can technically count that as 3 different looks?
Laid back, Jim, or cool hip, Jim.
Now to those small but big changes that sets this figure apart from the rest of the line. So the first Black Swordsman Guts looked great. I mean, all of the figures look great, don't get me wrong, can't be happier with the sculpt work. But when it comes to actually posing it around, it's unfortunately not the most fun. First thing are these straight wrist pegs that didn't offer any support for holding Guts' Dragon Slayer, but the biggest offender for me personally were the terrible shoulders that just fell apart every time I touched them. Couple that with loose joints and you got yourself a floppy mess that I never took out of the box except for reviews. The Berserker armor was better with improved ball joints for wrists, but the figure still used these same shoulder joints and everything else wasn't too much tighter. Nosferatu Zod was a step up again, solidly built, but the shoulders didn't give you the best range of articulation for a character that obviously needs it. Whether these were conscious decisions or not, this Band of the Hawk Guts uses the same sturdy ball wrist pegs, but also updates the shoulders with more traditional shoulder joints we see in more established lines like Dragon Ball. So good! They've also tightened up the joints, making this figure one of the most enjoyable figures out of any line to handle. No more floppy mess, this thing is solid and feels so good in hand. Guts comes with a healthy amount of accessories, so let's have a look at some hands. Out of the package, Guts comes with a couple of fists for pulverizing apostles and that like button. A couple of stylized open hands for all your action poses and subscribing to the channel. A set of relaxed open hands for more of your relaxed poses and for leaving this video a comment. Finally, we have a pair of sword and knife wielding hands for swinging around Guts' iconic 100 soldier killing sword. The sword itself is slimmer, shorter, and a lot lighter than the Dragon Slayer, and the figure can hold it securely without weighing the arms down. So let's take a look at the articulation, starting off with the head, and we're going to look at the helmeted head first. And as I mentioned before, the visor does move up and down, and it does tab onto his nose, so it's nice and secure. The helmet and the unhelmeted head, there is quite a significant difference in terms of range of articulation, but I'll show you both. So this back kind of like neck piece here, it is a separate piece and it is made from a softer plastic, so you do get a bit of flex, but you don't seem to get too much movement going up, and it's not any better moving down. There is some pretty good side-to-side head tilt, and you do have a left and right swivel as well. Did I say swivel? I meant swivel. So you do get some pretty good range with the helmeted head, but it is a little bit limited in its range. So let's pop that off to the side and put on Guts' unhelmeted head. So looking up is a lot better. Looking down, you do get some really good left and right tilt, and you do have a full swivel there. The shoulders, the armor here is on a ball joint, so it does have a little bit of movement. His shoulders do move up past 90 degrees, which is great, and that does pop off from time to time, but it is on a ball joint, so you can plug it back in without any problems, and it is held together by friction, so I guess only time will tell how well it does hold up. But if you have any of those Naruto figures, the Naruto figure that I can think of that uses this similar kind of system is the Orochimaru figure. That still holds up pretty well, so hopefully this will be the same as well. So like I mentioned, the arms do move past 90 degrees, and if you push it too far, the plate armor here on the shoulder does pop out, and I'll pop that back on a little bit later because it is a little bit finicky to put on camera, so we'll leave that off just for now. But as you can see, it is on a ball joint with a hinge, so it does hinge up and down. He does have a bicep swivel, which is great, and you have double elbows and a hinge and swivel at the wrist, which is great. Tail is made up of a couple of pieces, a hard plastic chest that's overlaid with this armor that is a softer rubber plastic, and you have all your straps here over the chest and on the belt and on the waist here. There is another ab section here, so you do get some movement forward and back, but it's not the deepest ab crunch, unfortunately, and that's because of the belt and the straps here. It does get in the way. You do get some side-to-side tilt and some waist swivel there as well. Something to be careful of is that the knife holder here, the knife pouch, this knife top end does come off, and you do get an extra full knife to go with it. But it's not on a swivel, and it is fixed onto that strap, that belt there. So if you try to swivel it back and forth, it will come off, so you don't want that. So just be careful, it doesn't swivel, it is fixed onto that belt piece there. So the lower half of the figure, these side skirt armor plates here, like I mentioned before, are welded in there on some material which is fixed to the belt. Guts does kick forward really well, which is great, but he doesn't kick back all too much because of the way that the butt is sculpted there. You do have a really good split. It's almost 180. I think that's 180. Yeah, that's really good for your side splits. You do have a hidden thigh cut there where the strap there goes around his leg, which is great. Almost missed it when I first pulled this guy out. You have double knees, and you also have a really well hidden boot cut as well, something that we don't see a lot of actually, but I'm really glad that it's there. Your foot goes down, your feet go up, pretty good actually. You have a toe hinge, a toe swivel, and of course some really good ankle pivot. I think the design team have finally found that sweet spot of balancing both aesthetics and functionality. It just feels so much better to pose, making it infinitely more enjoyable than any other release before it. The shoulder armor does like to come off if you push it too far, and it is missing a few paint apps, but honestly those are minor nitpicks to a really complete feeling package. This is such a win for the Berserk line and easily one of my favorite figures this year. Tamashii have really found that balance between aesthetics and articulation, something not as common as you might think, which is why I have high hopes for Casca and any other future releases Tamashii has planned. So I just finished watching the 1997 masterpiece of an anime again last night, something I do probably once a year, and it just makes me want the rest of the members from the Band of the Hawk even more. Judo, Pippin, Ricket, yes, even Caucus. Heck, I'd even take Goku as well.
That's not fair, and you know it!
All Tamashii needs to do is keep up this level of engineering and quality, which I truly believe is the key to the success of this line. I think after that, it's just a matter of going back to the first couple of figures, fixing those quality issues, updating those joints, and reissuing them, which is something Tamashii does. I mean, if we can't get a good continuation of the 97 anime, please at least give us good figures. And that's it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll be back this weekend with a lot more actually, including Figuarts Monster Zarbon, Super Saiyan Kid Goku from Daima, Revoltech Female Titan, and probably Batman Beyond if I can get to it. So make sure you come back for those. Enjoy the rest of your week. San Diego Comic Con this weekend. Keep up those push-ups, and as always,
Yoroshiku!